Welcome back to Throttle Therapy. This is the home of mental health, motorcycles, and everything in between. Maybe you're a moto vlogger out there who's struggling, or somebody who just wants to talk about the mental health. Today, I'm pleased to say that we've got Gav all the way from Vietnam. I really appreciate you coming on, mate. Thank you.
Yeah, mate, no problem.
So, Gav, just obviously you moved to Vietnam, but we don't know why you moved to Vietnam. There is a story behind why you're on here today, but what would be good is if you told that story rather than me read through the information that you sent me over. So just go back to the beginning. Why did you move to Vietnam?
Yeah, sure. So essentially, I'll cut a long story short. Like I feel like in Britain, I'd kind of achieved all the stuff I wanted to achieve, like career-wise, stuff like that. I came from quite a broken kind of background, and I'd really worked hard to kind of get out of that and to do well in career-wise. It took a while, but eventually I kind of got there, and I feel like I'd done really well, and I'd ticked off all my boxes of stuff I wanted to do or have, and I kind of realized you get more money or nicer car or nicer house, and it felt like more of the same every time I'd hit a milestone, and I felt like there's nothing else I wanted more. So I spent some time traveling, and I just fell in love with Vietnam. I really did. My plan was always, maybe in 10, 20 years, I'll retire and move out somewhere in Asia. But there's so many people that are already living out here. So I decided, fuck it, why don't I just, go and do it? So I did.
How old were you? Sorry, how old were you when you moved over to Vietnam?
So I'm 32. So I was probably 27, I think.
That's 27,
28, yeah.
I mean, 27, I was sort of just asking my missus to marry me, never mind thinking about upping sticks, moving to a whole new country. That's impressive.
Yeah, well, I never even had my life planned out at that age.
Oh, man. Well, I sort of had a plan, and then the more I did in that plan, the more I kind of got bored. And, living out here, I've not looked back. I've loved it. There's moments where I miss home, or it's difficult, or, it is a whole other planet out here.
Was it lonely moving out there on your own, not knowing anybody?
Yes and no, but I mean, mostly no. There is a good expat community here, and I made a lot of friends. Sadly, a lot of those, like now, a little bit more now, actually, because a lot of my best friends have actually left Vietnam.
Right.
Some of them, sadly, one of them died here as well. A couple of years ago. And a couple of my friends had to leave because of the Ukraine conflict. They had to get their families safe and stuff. Or they just left or went to another city or something. But I still got a few friends here.
Wow. So, mate, just moving out there at that age is just incredible in itself. Like I said, I didn't have my life planned out at that age.
Thanks,
and you were just getting ready to get married, Chris. So
yeah,
that just shows bravery in itself. So
scary.
Where did your love for motorbikes come into this? Obviously, did you go over there riding before you went over, or is that something that you did when you got over there?
Yeah, that's an awesome question. So I had ridden a little bit, but not that much. I fell in love with it mostly when I came over here, when I visited on holiday, and then I started riding bikes, and I really fell in love with it. Vietnam is like a place that's just made for bikes. Like I was just saying earlier, if you've seen the Top Gear special, everybody has bikes, right? And it's used as like the bloody family vehicle.
Yeah.
It's so normal to have like a whole family on one bike or one little scooter.
I was going to say, is it the typical bike where you are just carrying loads of bags of rice and shopping up back? Is that how it is?
Yep. In fact, I've done that. I think I've carried about the most I carried was about 80 kilos of rice I carried once on a bike, and it was yeah.
That's mental.
I need a photo, Gav. You've got to send some photos over.
Oh yeah, I'll have to see what I can dig out. I remember you're not going to believe this, right? I had a couch delivered to my house, and I expected it to come in a truck. No, dude strapped it to the back of his Honda Wave. But get this, right? You're thinking it was sideways. No, it was fucking lengthways.
It's just like
Sticking out
sticking
the
out the
back.
back.
Was the guy
Mate.
sat on the couch?
Well, and I was like, what the hell? Like, no, yeah, you'll often see them move washing machines, everything on the bike.
Do you know?
Fridges.
Do you know what? You're saying that about having a sofa on the back of the Honda Wave. When I was out in Wales recently, I had like a dog crate which I strapped to the back of my C90 to put all my stuff in. And it
Yeah.
wasn't, massive. It looks ridiculous, but I was absolutely paranoid that I was going to get pulled over and like stop for an unsafe load or something. And then just hearing that, it's like,
Yeah.
do you know what? If there's a will, there's a way, isn't there?
The one thing that instantly hit me when I moved here was that there is no unsafe. There might be, but it doesn't apply. There doesn't seem to be any unsafe load laws whatsoever.
Really?
It's just whatever goes.
Yeah.
So
and
is
it
it?
often goes wrong.
Wow, yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. But it's so
Yeah.
out there. Then you've obviously mentioned a lot about like Cub 90s, Honda Waves, that kind of thing. Is it all predominantly small bikes then, or do you
Yeah,
get
so
the bigger
there's-
bikes? And
Yeah, massively, predominantly small bikes because of the law regarding tax and licenses and all other stuff. I think under 175cc, you're good. Anything above that is massively, I think, tax. You need different license and all kinds of stuff like that. So all the bikes here generally are 125s, 150s, or 110s. So it's all like your like little Honda scooters and things like that. Yeah, they're all kind of yeah.
And what-
the bigger
what are
end
the
of what you
laws?
tend
What are
to
the
get
laws?
is maybe like a SH 150 or maybe like a PCX or an MVX or something. But yeah, predominantly, yeah, everybody's driving these little engine bikes.
What are the laws around riding over there? Do you have to do some kind of test when you go over there?
Not sure how much I should say because I mean, the honest truth of it, yeah, you should. There's plenty of us that don't actually have our full licenses. But there's
Yeah, all right.
we'll leave it at that, shall we?
The average citizen breaks about 20 laws just before breakfast.
Really?
On their way to, yeah. If you ever seen Pirates of the Caribbean, and there's a scene where they're talking about the pirates' code, and they say, well, they're not really. It's more of a suggestion.
More
That's
like
kind of
guidelines.
traffic laws
Yeah.
are like.
Yeah. Brilliant. Absolutely
You know
brilliant.
what? On that point, they recently made the fines a lot higher for running a red light because what everybody does, all the traffic lights here, they have a timer on the traffic light. Fucking brilliant idea, right? It counts down. But what happens is when it's still red and it's going down 10, 9, 8, 7, and everybody goes on 5. They don't wait for it to go green. Everybody, and they'll honk their horn at you if you don't. But they recently changed it. They made the fines massive for running a red light, and everybody stopped and everybody went on green for about 2 weeks. And then now it's back to normal again.
Do you know what, right?
I'm not sure I'd survive over there.
I don't think I would either. Like, I'm a part-time motorcycle instructor over here, and some of the stuff that I see, sometimes I think, oh my God, you're going to die. But then it sounds like that's just normal out there. But I suppose if everybody's doing it, it just works, doesn't it?
Well, yes, but it can be a bit annoying, I'll be honest. Like, if you're driving down the road and then people just come out and they don't look, and the more you try and get them to look, the more they ignore you because they don't want to. They want to save face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you find it quite stressful, or is it just something you've got used to and you just kind of, that's another one, and you just kind of deal with it now? Or?
Yeah, I find it stressful, I'll be honest. You do deal with it and get used to it, but the thing that annoys me is definitely when people don't look and they just come bellowing out some alleyway. Yeah, that definitely still 5 years later still really annoys me. Or they're so often on their phone. Oh my God. Yeah, that can be annoying if I'm honest.
Yeah, I mean the phone thing's still massive over here in the UK though, because like you were saying about they've just upped the fines for the traffic light things, but phones here it's something like 200 quid and 6 points if you're caught. Likelihood of being caught is really slim, and you see all the time, especially when I'm in my far engine, I'm a lot higher up, constantly all the time people on the phones. It's just one of those things, isn't it?
Because a lot of the bikes here are either just twist and go, like they're fully auto, or they're semi-auto. So they've got the left hand like free to play on their phone and do whatever.
Yeah, I get it.
So much fun.
So your bike then? Did you buy a bike over there? Because I know that you built one. Did that build come after, or did you get a bike before the build?
Yeah, so once I got settled here, actually, no. I bought bikes here, yeah. I've got a Honda, it's a VRX 400. That was the first thing I ever bought here. And it was like, it's a bit like the Steed engine, like the Honda Steed, but it's a little bit different. Like slightly more power, slightly different style. I bought this bike, as soon as I test drove it, I fell in love with it. I had to buy it. I didn't live in Vietnam at that point. I was planning to move. This was about 3-4 months before I actually moved, and I was still sort of visiting on holiday, like the third time in a year that I went there. I wanted to be 100% sure, so I wanted to make sure that I committed to this move. So I bought the bike before I lived in Vietnam, and I was like, right, I'm gonna put it in storage somewhere, and then that's like a thing that's like I have to come here now.
Yeah,
That's going to get you back there.
Yeah. So yeah, anyway, I bought the bike, loved it. Needed some stuff doing to it, and then I found a local sort of garage that could customize stuff, and took it to a few places. And I wanted to build it into a cafe racer type of thing, and because that was more, I guess, the style back then. So I wanted to do some of the work myself as well. So I tried to do what I could, and then a couple of years later, basically, well, along the years, I bought other bikes too. A couple of years later, I get more tools. I start working on stuff myself more. But I decided that I want to get a workshop. So what I do instead is I start renting a very empty house, and then I turn the whole downstairs into a workshop and stuff, which is still the house I'm in now. I've got like living room, bedroom upstairs, and then kitchen and just massive, like, well, not massive, but garage.
That is literally like my single man dream right there. If I didn't have a wife and kids, mate, I'd literally be exactly the same.
Yeah, that's the key word right there, single man.
Yeah.
See, that's exactly what I. So that's basically what I did. Yeah, the dream, right, of that. I decided, fuck it, I'll do it. And it was initially, I just really wanted my own workshop and really wanted to really get into. I wanted to learn how to weld and build stuff and make things myself. So I started building like a workbench and all this stuff, and slowly acquired more tools and things. Because when I was growing up, when I was a kid, I always loved those shows where they customize like old cars, or they restore something, or they build something new. I love those shows, and I always wanted to learn one day, but I never had anyone to teach me. So I just started learning myself, taught myself, tons of YouTube, stuff like that. And then just started making silly stuff. I started making just furniture stuff. And then, eventually, when I got a little puppy, I built a little chair for him. Because steel is really cheap out here. Really cheap. So I bought some steel, welded together a little seat for my little puppy to go on the little Honda Wave that I was kind of renting at the time. It was great, and then he got a bit too big for that.
Was this your first Dalmatian? Was it?
This is the first Dalmatian I had.
First Dalmatian, yeah. Bless you.
So, I really wanted him to come on adventures with me, though. I built him a little chair for the seat. A little chair for the bike, so he could sit kind of in front of me. Eventually he started getting bigger and bigger, and I always wanted to make. I always loved the like Honda Cub sort of style, but I always wanted to build one that was like kind of really big. I knew that I wanted to build something like that. I knew that I needed a bike that was a bit bigger and had more length in the front. And I knew there was a whole bunch of criteria, and I looked every bike that I looked for that had like small engines so I can commute but can go off road. No bike could really fit that. So I had like this old Honda wind frame thing and old like dream parts that I had from another build, and then decided, fuck it, I'll have a stab at it. If it goes wrong, nothing lost. I'll have a stab at it. So I started. Got my dog to measure out measured my dog and figured out how big he might be. Started piecing together how it would look like, and just started having at it. cutting up some steel, welding it together, building a frame for the bike, and then just piece by piece, I started building this bike, and it ended up becoming. I've noticed when I make stuff now, you have an initial kind of vision, and then it takes shape as you keep building.
Yeah.
It's that, as you build, the form seems to just come out.
So, Gav, I've got a picture here that I'm going to bring up on the screen, but for the benefit of obviously Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all that, if you want to come and see the photo, get over to YouTube and see this photo. Gav, just talk me through this picture.
That one. Yeah, so that is, there we go, perfect. I've got another picture with the dog sat there, actually. So, this was when I first started. I just got some steel and I made a basic shape, and then I just kind of pieced it together like this and thought,
so
okay,
the center frame, is that what you've welded?
Yeah, so I chopped it up, welded it together. It's got more steel inside, so it's not as thin as it looks.
Yeah.
And if you're wondering why it's on the floor like that, I'm using the tiles to measure the wheel to keep me a straight line, so I can measure the wheelbase and have it exact.
Genius.
So basically, you're relying on somebody else's tile laying to make sure your wheelbase is straight.
I'm hoping they're perfectly square. But I'm using the tiles to give me a straight line, so I can measure. And I want to measure the rake angle and other things like that. I spent ages getting it kind of right. So in this picture, I'm just like, I've just chucked them down, and I'm about to start lining up So I'm like measuring, getting the angle. So this is when I'm kind of figuring out what it's going to look like.
So nothing's actually tacked together or anything at this point. It's all just sort of laid out.
No, that's just like still on the ground.
Perfect.
And I'm like figuring out, okay, what does it look like? And then, I took the picture so I can have a mental memory of it. And then I kind of welded it together. And then this picture you can see here was when I just actually finally got it like at the right angle. And so that was like the main part of the frame. So because I really like the CT, is it CT 125, the Honda Trails?
CT 110 on that, yeah.
I wanted that square kind of frame. I tried to get it going completely diagonal, but it ended up being like having those bends in it. Because I needed a flat part for the dog to kind of sit on. I needed an area for the dog to sit on.
Yeah.
And if you're wondering why it's got wood on the final design, I just really like the look. I think I saw like some old American pickup trucks, and a lot of them had this like really nice wood. And I'd seen like one or two builds where they'd use like wood on a motorbike, and I thought it looked just fucking awesome.
There we go. Yeah.
Yeah, you can see here. So that rack you can see at the back actually was something I built for another bike, and I cut it up and just made it part of the actual frame on this bike. The wood looks great.
It looks absolutely amazing, but if you were to try and do something like that in the UK here, it costs you an absolute fortune in materials.
Yeah, so the metal's really cheap here, really cheap, and I live really close to some building suppliers. So sometimes I'm literally walking down the street with like 6 meter fucking length of steel on my shoulder. And my neighbours are just used to it now. They think I'm nuts.
I think you're the nuts ex-British guy.
So why the bike build though? I mean, obviously you said that you had some issues going on in your life. Is that the reason behind the bike build?
So the bike build itself then. So it started off, I wanted to be able to bring the dog camping with me and stuff. There's some mountains near here that we love called Sockstone. I love it because it's just so close to Hanoi. And there's some really great trails up there. One great thing here is you can have trails like, you can have places that are like the Lake District, but just super close to Hanoi. So I'm in a big city, but I'm super close to places like that. And I just really wanted to take in more, and I wanted to build like something that was slightly more off-road capable. And I just really wanted to build a project that was that ambitious. I'd sort of got into welding bits and stuff on bikes, but another part of it was it's kind of a stepping stone. So if I'm brave enough to weld this, I'll be brave enough to weld one of my bigger CC bikes. And it was also to just get tons of practice welding. I really wanted to bring him with me, my dog, and I wanted to be able to bring camping gear and just everything. And I wanted this bike to be like a Swiss Army knife that just does everything. I can commute
Yeah.
with it. It can go out in the mountains. It can do all this stuff.
I mean, the
And
C90 the C90 in itself, because I know you've got C90 parts within it, haven't you? I mean, that is a
oh
Swiss
yeah,
Army knife of bikes anyway. But what you've created here is just like something just so much more, and just, do you know what I mean? And
yeah,
it's your own custom creation as well. It's
Let's not
absolutely
forget
amazing.
that he actually built this in his kitchen as well, did you?
Yeah, exactly.
Using tiles and whatever else.
Yeah,
yeah.
amazing.
It's fucking. I mean, my neighbors like they love when I'm making stuff. They always find it like hilarious.
Yeah.
Um,
So just
yeah, they always have a laugh.
coming back to your bike, and obviously you mentioned the dog, and this was sort of part of your story that, and I hope you're okay to talk about it, but this was part of your story that sort of really kind of touched me, because I'm a massive
Yeah,
animal lover. I've got my little Labrador myself. Because I think we've got a picture. Yeah, there you go. Look, so we've got a picture
yeah.
of your paw print on it. Just explain the paw print to me, because that did quite sort of touch me actually, and yeah, I thought it was quite nice.
Yeah, so yeah, this is I guess the main part of the story then. So this really was a I really had this vision in my head of my little boy, like my little boy and me, my little puppy, um, as to kind of having really big adventures. I really wanted to be able to take him to see this, to see the beach, see the sea, and I really wanted to be able to drive him long distances. And have just better adventures with him, and that was the reason for this build. Is
Yeah,
I really wanted better adventures with my little dog. And then, yeah, sadly, he, one night after I took him for a little walk, one night he started making really strange noises and trying to run away, and really screaming weird noises. And I, I'm really confused. I actually really think at the beginning, I thought when he made this weird shriek I've never heard before. I don't know if you've ever heard a fox like make a
yeah,
loud shriek.
Yeah.
It was like
yeah,
that noise. And I went outside because I actually honestly and truly thought that he'd sensed or smelled something like gas, or
yeah,
he detected something. I honestly thought, is there some gas leak? Have we been like, have we been invaded by China? Like because we're not far. Because at that time there was also a bit of like weird stuff going on with China and Vietnam, like a bit
yeah,
of like uncertainty. So I really was worried. I thought, what has he detected something? And then he was still freaking out. I came back in the house, nothing seemed off, um, and I was trying to find out what's wrong with him, and he ran away again. And then I got him down into the bathroom because I thought, okay, I can trap him in here and just calm him down. And then he started. I was sort of like stroking him and saying everything's okay, and then he started freaking out again. He bit my face. I got a little mark on my face on this side now. He bit my face and then ran away. He's never done anything like that. He was just really scared, and then he started foaming at the mouth, started having seizures, and yeah, it was really horrible. This was like maybe like 1-2 a.m. And he started having these seizures. And honestly, big part of me knew that was it then and there, because this is how it goes. Sadly in Vietnam, people use certain pesticides and things a lot, or rat poison or something that they just spread around. And if dogs even sniff it, it can kill them. So
yeah,
and that happens a lot here. So I had a really big feeling it was that, but I really wanted him to hold on. And I was just speaking to him, and he would go in and out of seizures, and then decided I would try and get him to the vet, and take off speeding towards the vet, and then I can feel him in my arms when he has one final big seizure, and then he kind of looks me in the eyes, and I'm looking right at him, and his whole body just goes like relaxes and goes limp. And I really felt like he was staring me right in the eyes, and I was looking at him, and it felt like his soul just left, man. I felt it in my arms. And I tried giving him CPR on the side of the road. You know, he kind of blow through his nose and then didn't work. I was right opposite the vet by that point. It's a big main road. I sprinted across the road and, you know, kind of bang on the gate. And then I'm still there trying to give him CPR in some way. But, you know, that was it. He was gone. And the vet said that, yeah, he's gone. And, you know, I was maybe 85% done with the bike at that point. And, you know, my whole reason for building it was to take him on these adventures. And
Yeah.
so the paw print, the next day, I, the next day in the morning, there was sort of bile coming out of his mouth and stuff. And I knew, like, okay, I can't, you know, I have to bury him now. And I really wish that I had a bit more time with him. But he was obviously, I couldn't, you know, he was going to decompose. So, you know, the next morning, even that quick, it was, you know, I have to go bury him. So I dipped his little paw in some paint and put it on all the bikes. So so he can always come with me on my adventures. And you know, loaded up my backpack with all these, like, you know, toys and favorite things, and you know, got a spade, a shovel, a spade, whatever you want to call it. Loaded everything up and put him in the backpack. You know, tied it up and drove out to the mountains again, and sort of dug a little grave for him out in the mountains because he used to love going out there all the time. I used to go nearly every weekend, and yeah, I took him out there. Sort of one final time, and I sort of carried him and walked him around all the places that we usually hike, and just talked to him and sort of and thanked him for being being my best friend.
And I suppose I mean, mate, yeah, that's got me so chronic right now.
Oh man, it's just, you know what? I think people listening won't realise, but dogs are like children.
They're the man's best.
They're your friend. They're everything to you, and it's just like
it's that age-old saying.
Is no less than losing a loved one, losing a little baby. You know, it's everything to you, and
it's that age-old saying, isn't it?
Get to spend time with you on the bike that you purposely built for your poor little dog. I mean, going after the passing of your dog, how did you manage to overcome that? Because obviously it can't have been easy.
No.
Yeah, mate. So, burying him was a really huge part of closure. That actually really helped a lot. And I gave him I tried to give him as much of a proper service as I could. But I carried him around with me for a bit on the normal route that we go hiking.
It's like one last big adventure together.
Yeah, I kind of just carried him in my arms. My arm was really hurting after that because he's getting heavy.
Yeah.
And then I dug a grave for him and got his blanket and stuff and kind of wrapped him up in the blanket and put all his kind of favorite toys in there with him and some flowers and things and spoke a few words, said everything, and I've kind of trained him that whenever we are out on the trails, I'll take him off the lead, but I have two commands that are really important, and he was really good at these commands. One was near, and that meant that he has to stay right next to me when we're walking. He has to stay perfectly next to me as if we're on a lead. And the second one was free, and this meant that he can go do what he wants. Just stay within where we are. And he was really good at those commands. And he would get so excited when he would hear the word free. And he would bark with excitement and run and play. So yeah, before I kind of buried started piling the dirt on, the last word that I kind of said to him was free. That's his command now. He's free now, and
mate.
His kind of soul. If there is such a thing, his soul is he's in his favorite place now. And so that was a massive part, and I still go back to visit him and talk to him, and every time I visit where he's buried, he's buried next to a really nice, beautiful tree. So and he fucking loves those mountains. He really loved it. So he's in his absolute favorite place. Getting over that, it was heartbreaking. The burial really helped a lot. It just took time to get over it. And I didn't touch the bike for maybe like a month. I didn't want to look at it. I didn't touch it. It was just too sad. And eventually, I decided I'm gonna finish it for him. And do you know what's funny is it wasn't that long after. It was maybe like a month and a half after he passed away. The breeder that actually got him from initially kind of told me, "Hey, we've got one more boy left from the latest litter." And I wanted a boy because I just didn't want a girl getting pregnant or having those issues and stuff, or having to worry about that. I wanted a boy, so it was a bit too soon, if I'm really honest. Like it felt like it was a bit too soon, but yeah, it was from the same family, so I knew I would get another one at some point. So I just agreed, okay, get another one. So yeah, I've been raising another little Dalmatian puppy from the same family. It's not the same, of course, really different kind of personalities. Yeah. But it feels good that I can at least take care of one more from that family,
Yeah.
And getting over it, I guess time helped a lot, but finishing the bike really helps a lot. And
I don't think, like Gaz said a minute ago, they're part of your family, aren't they? They're part of you, and it's that age-old saying of, dogs are a man's best friend. I mean, mate, that absolutely did me it, but I had to mute my mic because it proper did me. Because I've got my little Labrador and I take her everywhere. But I don't think you ever get over it. I think time just allows it to get easier, doesn't it? And it's the same with losing people in your life as well. I think it just gets easier, doesn't it? You learn how to deal with it a bit better.
Yeah, and yeah. I mean, you never, yeah. You do get that better again. Deal with it.
Yeah.
I'm losing my words.
How did it feel to you? How did it feel to you when you got your bike built for the first time, and then obviously took your new puppy out there and did all these things that you dreamed about doing with your dog that sadly passed away? How was that for you, that moment?
Yeah, mate. So, yeah, that was a massive moment. It was actually really. I was struck by so much emotion when that happened. I got it built, like mostly built. I mean, it's still no project is ever truly done, ever. But when I got it kind of done and working and on the road, I mean, the license plate was like zip tied on and stuff.
Sounds like my C90 everywhere.
Yeah. So there's still some stuff you can't quite see in that picture, but it's mostly done. Yeah. Good enough. Yeah, I did it for him, and I wanted to kind of honor him. So yeah, I got the bike, brought it out there and the puppy came with me. But I still went back to visit, Buck, who's the name of the first puppy I had. Buck, I still went to visit him. And I talked to him again for a long time and told him, hey, I did it, and I'm raising another one from your family, but, you're always my first boy. I'll never forget you. And, because I felt so guilty as well, in a way.
Did you feel like, I know you didn't, but did you feel part of you replaced him in a sense by getting a new dog too soon? Or was there anything in your head like that?
I felt kind of guilty for that it was a little bit soon, but kind of it was might have missed the opportunity to get another one otherwise. So I spent probably like 2 or 3 times when I went back. I kept saying like, you're always my first boy. I'll always love you. Like it's never like when I go back and speak to his kind of grave. It's the dog I have now called Buddy. A really different personality, totally different dog. Totally different. Also, is a lot smarter, which is good and bad. Good and bad. Really different dog, and I really love this puppy. Now he's He's brilliant. He's getting naughty now, but that's just his age, and he's
Yeah, getting
really
into that
smart.
teenage phase.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's about 5 months old now, but he's definitely in that kind of age.
So
He's
so sort of like, here's the thing with that. Then it's like, obviously, your dog was a massive part of your life, massive part of your friendship out there, that little network that you had, and then the bike was part of that as well. So the fact that you've now finished it and you've got the ability to go out on these adventures with Buddy, did you say? Sorry, the new dog,
yeah
the new
yeah yeah
pup, and the fact that Buddy is a relative of Book, do you know, that's just amazing. And I think those two things together have probably, I mean, tell me if I'm wrong, but I think those two things together have really helped with sort of like your mental health side of it, and
yeah
sort of like you say, the closure of it, if you like. And yeah, because it sounds
yeah.
daft, doesn't it? But I mean, a lot of people say, oh, it's just a dog, or it's just a cat, or it's just a pet, or whatever. But they do mean the world to us, don't they? It's yeah.
Yeah, I tell you what, I still think about, I still get how, even now, I still get a little bit sad about a dog from when I was a tiny little kid. So, no, they're definitely man's best friend.
I think this is the thing though, like with mental health and struggles and stuff, there's no limit to what that could be, that trigger.
Yeah,
It's a dog, it's a loved one, it's getting your bike stolen. It could be absolutely anything.
yeah,
But if something means so much to you, it only takes one thing to trigger your mental health and put you in a dark place. And it takes a lot to dig yourself out of that. And actually for you to start building that bike again, buying a new dog, getting back out there and doing everything that you wanted to do, that's a big achievement, mate. Like,
massively. Yeah,
Thanks,
massively.
man. It does mean a lot.
Yeah, no, it's
Definitely
great.
means
And
a lot.
do you know what? I've obviously seen you on Facebook now. I've been following you a little bit, and I've seen you've been out quite a bit now with Buddy, haven't you? And some of the adventures you've started having again, and
Yeah.
getting out there. And do you know what, mate? It's absolutely amazing. It genuinely really is, and I'm so glad that it's helped you, and I'm so glad that it's, do you know, it's done something big for you. And obviously, we spent a lot of time talking about the dog now and the bike build and that, but I think that's something. It's really important, and it's a really important thing to share and to show. And
I think
yeah, honestly.
having a creative outlet like that massively helps. I know for me, it helps me process a lot of things and helps me get through stuff,
Yeah.
making something.
Yeah.
Partly because as well, it just gives you a win. And I think one thing
Yeah.
that's really important in life is being able to get a win that's outside of work as well.
Yes, definitely.
Because work can go well and go not well, but having something, because, I've had times where work has been fantastic, but at home I've not been that happy, or vice versa.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think it's really important to get some wins outside of work as
Yeah,
well.
definitely.
And one thing that welding, of all the hobbies that I seem to have, is it teaches me, I think a lot of us are guilty of this. I'm really bad at knowing when I need to take a break. And I think a lot of us are guilty of this.
Definitely.
And,
Yeah.
it piles up on you. And then when you realize it, it's too late. And, the reason welding teaches me that is because if I'm in a pissed off bad mood, my weld's going to be shit. I have to talk to myself, calm down, take a break, and then get in the right headspace, or I'll just mess it up.
Yeah.
Same with making anything. But just life in general, I think often a lot of us, when it comes to looking after our mental health, maybe we don't quite know when to take a break and just, we get a bit forest for the trees kind of thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
And with mental health, it can really stack up. It's not like the one thing, it's like multiple things. Like
Yeah.
with me, I'll be honest, I had a lot of things, great things happen here, but also some really horrible stuff happened whilst I was in Vietnam. I lost one of my best friends here.
Yeah. I know we mentioned that earlier, and we weren't sort of glossing over the fact. But yeah, do you mind telling us a bit?
I think what we should do actually with that one is come back for a second podcast
Yeah, why not?
for that one, because I feel like the dog deserves this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Podcast, and I feel like we could maybe touch on that next time, if you get me. If that's all right with you, Gavin.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
But if you've got any pictures that you can send over, I've set up a Facebook page now for the podcast. We can put them on there. So if anybody's listening and wants to go see your dog and just connect with all the photos that we've been sharing on here, that would be fantastic.
Yeah. I've got a Google album, so I'll send that over.
Yeah.
Mate. Yeah.
So that Facebook page is Throttle Therapy Pod, And so just search that and you'll come across it, and I'll put the link down in the description. If you could give one bit of advice to somebody who's either gone through the same as you or just struggling in general, what would that be?
That's a really interesting question. I might need a minute to think about that. Someone that's
It's all right.
struggling going through it, I'd say more than just. I'd say a few different pieces of advice. Do you know what is? I think on the opposite end of that, I think we need to be looking out for our friends a bit more.
Yeah,
I also, it's in that time you actually find out who your friends are. I'll be honest. And I went through one of the things about when I was starting building stuff and got this place is I quickly found out who were not that great of friends. Because I had a million people. Maybe I'll get into this another time, but I had
yeah,
a ton of people that were in the motorbike club at that time, and they would come over for to work on bikes, and it was great hanging out. But at some point, I realized, like, hang on, every time I want a hand, like I'm spending all my time helping other people with their bikes and their
yeah,
stuff,
yeah,
but whenever I want a hand, nobody wants to like help out. Everyone just wants to
Yeah.
help.
yeah,
And like people would like break tools, not fix them, and like make excuses, not pay for it, and I realized like, hang on, I'm spending a lot of money on like replacing tools, fixing stuff. I never have any time for my own stuff,
yeah,
and so that's one thing is friends can. I think friends can be a really big impact on have a big impact on your mental health, good and bad. But for someone really going through it, I think it definitely is good to have an outlet. And this is where I think you guys were saying before, like sometimes our bikes have heard more of our stories than our friends.
yeah, yeah,
And again, I would really say is like make sure you're looking after your social life and make sure you are hanging out with friends and getting that time to talk. Um,
yeah,
and I think it's okay to tell a mate that you're not doing so well. Um, and to be honest, I went through a phase where I went through a lot of depression, and then that's something I'll talk about maybe on the next time. Then, and I'm on the other side of that, and I'm doing good. But to be honest, during that time, I had a lot of kind of friends that sort of distanced themselves, and I kind of realized, oh, you know what, I maybe don't
yeah,
have the great friends
Yeah.
I thought I did. And there are a lot of sort of fair weather friends in this world, and I'll be honest, a lot of people like acquaintances and stuff just didn't want to like talk to me anymore because I was going through something and I was trying to be open about it.
Do
yeah,
you
And I would
think
tell like,
that's do you think that's because they don't know how to approach somebody who's suffering mental health? I'm just trying to establish the reason that there's a barrier there with somebody who should be caring about you and somebody that you should be able to speak to and rely upon. Is it because they
yeah,
don't know how to act in that moment?
um,
I'm not sure. I'm just trying to.
I
some of
think
it,
you've hit. I think you've touched on something there, Gaz. To be fair, I think you're probably. I don't think you're wrong. I think. I think, like Gav just said, sometimes people just don't want to know. But I think
yeah,
majority of the time it's because they either don't understand and don't want to say the wrong thing or something, so they end up just distancing themselves rather than actually going, "Do you know what, mate? What's up? I'm here to listen." And
I
yeah,
think
Because when
some
I
of
was
it,
suffering with mental health and stuff, and like Gavin, it's like there's no one reason why I suffer. It could be anything.
yeah,
I could get
yeah,
out of bed one day and just feel absolutely miserable, and I'd just lock myself away in a dark room and just want to be left alone. But then that one day in bedroom, just sulking, and you know what I mean. It's just like spirals that turns into 2 days, 3 days, and before you know it, I'm really down. And there's no reason why I'm like that. Like I can't put my finger on it, but it took me a long time to speak about mental health. And one thing that I wanted to do is start this podcast to basically vent, not me personally, but vent in a way that I'm getting something back from others. And so I can think, you know what, you're not alone. There's people out there that are going through it. There's people out there with stories to tell, but they're not speaking because they're either scared to do it because they're a middle-aged man and they've got egos and, they don't do it enough. And I always say it in
mm.
every end of my videos that I do. I always say, if you can help somebody out, like even if it's a small gesture, it means a lot. And you might not realize that at the time.
Well, I think then my advice, going on your point, would probably be go to meet-up type things of other types of hobbies where you're going to meet different people, and you might encounter better types of people that might be good friends. Because, like, for example, the Small Bikes Big Adventures, I imagine that kind of group and those people and the hangouts you guys do, um, they probably have lots of like people that would probably listen and stuff, or that you can have a good time with. Because I think when you're in depression and stuff like that and going through some really hard mental health stuff, it feels like you're on your own with a
Yeah.
tiny little spoon and you got to shovel your way out.
Yeah.
It feels like you got to tread your way out with a little tiny fucking spoon and you got to dig your way out of some tunnel. That's what it feels like. It feels like you just got to do it yourself, and which is kind of really sad, to be honest, because
Yeah.
some people really do. It's like they smell blood in the water and they want to run away when
Yeah.
they hear you going through something. Some people are really good mates and they will be sort of by you. And then sometimes you do just feel like, if I keep talking about this, am I inconveniencing them? Am I, they're going to get sick of hearing it. Like,
Mm.
because sometimes it can just drag on, mental health stuff. And
Yeah.
it
So
takes a lot.
one thing that I've struggled with, and I say call myself a semi-introvert, like I'm not fully introverted,
Yeah, me
but
too.
if I have a choice, I like to be on my own. But one thing I've challenged myself with this year is getting out and meeting more people. And through my YouTube channel, I've been doing that more than I ever have. And
Yeah.
it's through that platform, I've been able to come out of my shell a little bit more and meet people. Just yesterday, I met two people that I've never met in my life, but we've always talked about it. But I've always made excuses of why I can't go. But there's
Yeah.
no reason I couldn't go. It's just because
Yeah.
of that fear within me that, I'm going to meet two new people I don't know. And then it's like I've met a guy called Jeff a couple of years ago. He was the first person I met. And we went to the Lake District together and we did wild camping together. He's much older than me, but we share a general interest and we both suffer in our own ways. And it's just like having that person that you can just go out and just switch off from the world. It makes all the
Yeah.
difference. So, yeah,
Yeah.
to anybody listening, just get out there, your comfort zone, and meet new people.
I think mental health is. I think you're never 100. Nobody's ever 100% fixed. It's something you have to proactively maintain, and it will get worse and get better. It's again like your bikes, right? You've got to stick oil in it. Your brakes are gonna eventually. You got to replace your brakes and do this and do that, and it's same here. Like you hit bumps and shit happens, and you've got to it's an ongoing process. You have to maintain it. I think
Yeah.
constantly.
Do you know what?
If you-
I really like that analogy, that little analogy that you just said there about your mental health is just like your bike. Sometimes things break, but you just have to get on with it. If you want to keep that bike on the road and you want to keep it going, you got to fix it, haven't you? And
Yeah.
I like that. If you want to relate that to your brain, like you just said, in your mental health, then yeah, you've got to fix it in one way. And part of doing that is doing stuff like this, is being able to talk and share your stories.
Yeah.
You've had this experience with your dog and your friend and that, and then you've shared how you got over it and how you dealt with it. And there will be somebody else out there listening that's either gone through or going through that exact same thing, and now might be able to take something from it. And we're not me and Gaz and yourself. We're not therapists. We're not experts. We're not professionals. We're just three normal blokes that are just trying to say, "Come on, it's okay to talk. Let's have these chats and let's break down these barriers and what have you." And yeah,
I
no, I
think
like it. I like that.
I think it's really easy to fall into I think your mental health can really take a spiral because what happens when you have something really shitty happen to you, something really bad happens, is you then stop doing that maintenance stuff. You stop taking care of yourself. You stop doing the routine that you're in. You stop, and that makes it worse. So if you have something you're going through and like something really bad happens, you know, what do you often do? You might self-isolate or whatever. You might let go of your routine a little bit. And so that then further makes it worse and makes your mental state kind of fall apart a bit.
Yeah,
And I do think you've got to maintain it. And there are moments where you can have all the advice in the world. And sometimes you really do just have to tough it out and just, get the fuck on with your day and
Yeah.
pick yourself up,
Yeah.
which is really hard to hear. It's really tough.
Yeah.
And there really are times where you really do have to just tough through it and just get through the day. And you got to pick yourself up and get yourself out there. And
Yeah.
Sometimes you really might not have anybody in your corner. And you can kind of choose where you go from there, right?
Yeah.
You can't really choose what happens to you. You can choose what you do next.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
and that's a good way of looking at it as well. It's you've got to want to help yourself for other people to help you in the first place. If you've got no interest in helping yourself, then you are going to go down this dark rabbit hole, like you say. And you've got to, and it's a little bit of that tough love, isn't it? Whether it be tough self-love or tough love from a mate, of sort of saying, right, come on, enough now. You've got to get out there. Let's start seeing the world again. Let's start getting yourself out there and
because
enjoying life again as such. Yeah.
And it really is easy to. I think emotions like depression and sadness, they're almost parallel with happiness in terms of like the sort of intensity. It's really hard to describe what I'm trying to explain. If maybe somebody's been through like a hell of a lot of trauma, especially growing up, they might sort of relate to this slightly. But sometimes it's really easy as well for us to overindulge in that sadness as well.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not like that. Sometimes it is. We are just overindulging in that sadness a bit. I guess when I was younger, we called it just feeling sorry for yourself, and
Yeah.
but it's not like that. But yeah, sometimes you really have to kind of just. Sometimes your only friend is yourself, right?
Yeah.
Which is horrible and sad. But stuff's gonna happen to you whether you help yourself or not. And So you have to pick yourself. You have to get yourself doing stuff.
Yeah, I agree
that
with
is
that
helping that
because
mental health.
yeah,
Yeah,
totally
totally
agree
agree.
with that. Because the thing is, if there's something wrong with you and you're struggling and you've got issues in your life, you either have two options: you either talk about it, or you
Yeah,
get up out of bed and you go do something that day to keep
Yeah.
you busy. With me, my motorbike, that's everything to me. So it's
Yeah.
like if I'm having a bad day, put my helmet on, I go for a ride, I come back, no issues. I'm sorted. I'm fixed.
Yeah.
And that's mental health. My mental health. It's like it comes and it goes, and I know how
Yeah,
to
yeah.
fix that.
Yeah.
You've got to find what helps you and
And
how you can fix it.
there are sort of like, if you don't think you can speak to somebody face to face or something like that, there are outlets out there, aren't there? I mean, you can just do a Google search. There's things like mind.org, there's Young Minds, there's the Samaritans, there's Calm, Campaign Against Living Miserably, etc. There's Andy's Man Club as well. So there's lots of outlets out there as well where you can go and get help if you don't think that you could chat to people like we are like this, or tell a mate or something. Lots of impartial help and things. But
Yeah,
I think the biggest, because I think just looking at time, Gav, I think the biggest takeaway from all this, from listening to you and listening to your story, is basically saying, do something that you love, do something that interests you, get out there and talk, whether it be talk to your mate or talk to your helmet like me and Gaz do. Just get out there and do something that you love and that you enjoy, whether it be, like in your case, building and customizing things and making this crazy bike to go on these adventures, or like Gaz does, trying to push himself to go and meet new people and go and do something that he's a little bit uncomfortable with, but is now actually finding makes a big difference. And then, like myself, just go on a random trip like I did the other day, just right, okay, I've got 24 hours, where am I going to go? Off I go, type thing. I think that's what I'm kind of taking away from this. Would you say that's fair?
and I think that's where we should end it, because that is the only thing to take away from this. And I think what we need to appreciate is, one, that Gav's come on and talked openly about obviously your struggles and your bike build and your dog and how you're in a much better place now, which is really good to hear. But obviously your story runs much deeper than what you've just told us today, and it would be good to get you back on at some point if that's all right.
I love that, man. I really wish.
Yeah.
You know,
Joe, what, Gav?
and I think the thing is as well, Gav, is having somebody on like yourself who other people can relate to. We could turn this into a four-way chat sometimes if people are up for that. This is about creating a community where like-minded people can come together and talk openly. There's no stigma here. There's no judgment. So having three people as well at times who can come on and talk.
I'd love that, mate. Yeah, I've talked so much. I would really love to hear someone, see someone's story as well, and just take in. I love
Yeah.
that.
Do you know what, mate? I'm sorry. I'm sat here with shivers right now, and I don't know if you can see me on camera. I've literally got shivers because just thinking about it all, and the fact that you've come on and like, yeah, echoing Gaz, thank you ever so much, mate. You are our first genuine guest, and it's been absolutely amazing. And I hope that anybody listening to this can really relate to what you're saying and really relate to what we're all trying to achieve here. And yeah, just from the bottom of my heart, mate, really appreciate that. Really do.
Yeah, thanks, Gav.
Thanks, man. I mean, bikes have really, I say this time and time again, there are moments where bikes have really saved my life. And I mean that. The bike I was telling you about, the first bike I ever bought, I've got it still now. I'm rebuilding the engine. But that bike really has been with me through my worst moments. There's moments like in COVID where we're all isolated and alone, especially here where they were really tough. And I got into really dark places, and getting out on that bike just really saved me.
Mega fantastic.
And it'd be great to hear them kind of stories on the next show. So what we'll do is book you in for another episode.
Absolutely, mate.
Brilliant, fantastic,
mate. To everybody listening, get over to our Facebook page. The link will be down below. Gav will send them some photos over, and we'll get them on there, and you can see exactly what we've been talking about. And please reach out to Gav. Gav, is there anywhere that people can reach out to you? Do you have an Instagram or anything, or you're not on social media?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram. Just Gav and an EDW. So GAV and an EDW.
I'll get that link off you.
Yeah, and I'm on Facebook too. Just Gav Edward. I use that one. I'll send you all of this anyway.
Yeah, sound, mate. Nice one.
Brilliant. Well, that's it from us, guys. I hope you enjoyed this week's show. Next show, we will have another guest on, and then we'll get Gav back on to tell more of his stories. And awesome, if you are out there and you're struggling,
talk to you guys.
Yeah, if you are out there struggling, please do reach out to us. All links below. Thank you.
Cheers, everyone. Cheers, Gav.